We've been spending a lot of time this year focusing on small towns, counties, and rural communities in the United States. We've sort of forgotten about the bigger cities. Maybe not big cities, but cities in general. Cities right now, in a lot of cases, have real estate prices going down or are expected to go down within the next 2 years. Living downtown has lost its appeal to a lot of people in this country over the last few years, but not everyone. Cities tend to be expensive in real estate and living expenses, but it's still worth the expense to a lot of us, even in some of the cities that are ridiculously expensive. I ran into a homeless dude the other day. He wanted $25 for a coffee. I guess he's a big tipper and loves a good frappe or something. I don't know. Today we are looking at cities that still have affordable real estate, like under 190,000. Are these the best cities? Not really. Do they have jobs? Probably not. Would it be your first choice to move to? Doubtful. If you're looking for that kind of action, you gotta pay for it in the form of real estate prices that start around $350,000. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Scranton, I do not mind. I've been there a few times. I don't think there's anything wrong with Scranton myself. It does have some crime. The schools aren't the best. They got some poverty, but they also got really low real estate prices. Side note, more than one person has told me they thought Scranton, Pennsylvania was a make-believe city for the TV show The Office. They didn't know it was like a real city. Strange. Anyway, the median listing price in Scranton in the first quarter of 2022 was $182,400. That's 3.9% lower than it was a year ago. Number 9, Syracuse, New York. If you are one of the people like from the West Coast that only knows about New York City and you really don't know much about upstate New York, one, it is beautiful. Syracuse, not so much, but it's not the worst city to live in. It does get brutally cold. If you don't understand a New York winter, you might want to educate yourself before you decide you want to move there. Syracuse does have some really great history, like one of my favorite wars, the Beaver Wars. Besides laying down the groundwork for a lot of innuendos, the Beaver Wars happened in the mid-17th century. Syracuse has a violent crime rate that's a little higher than places I like to suggest to people, but we're really focusing on real estate prices on this video. Just so you know, their violent crime rate is 116% above the national average. But let's say you did move to Syracuse, you're willing to brave the crime and the cold, and you wanted to lay down some roots there, get a house. The median listing price is $184,900. The change from last year, it went down 2.8%. Number 8, Champaign-Urbana, Illinois. This often overlooked metro area is in between Peoria, Illinois and Indianapolis, Indiana. And it is out there by itself, surrounded by farmland as far as the eye can see. Now, what's really strange about this place is when you go there, it doesn't look as bad as some of the stats make it sound. I mean, it has really low cost of living, they got some poverty issues, they got tons of stuff to do, their schools aren't terrible, but their crime rate and their poverty numbers are pretty scary. Normally, in my experience, when I go someplace and I see how it is, right away, I don't even have to look at the stats. I know this place has some serious crime and some serious poverty. You don't pick that up when you go to Champaign, Illinois, even though they have it. Champaign is known nationally as a college town. It has the University of Illinois campus in Champaign. If you decide this is the place for you to get a home, the median listing price in June of 2022 is $179,950. The change from last year, it dropped 3.8%. Number 7, Davenport, Iowa. Or it's also known as the town that entertainment forgot. This is another boring Iowa town that happens to be on the Mississippi River. I mean, that makes it a little exciting being on the river, but I've seen more than a few lists that list Davenport as one of the most boring towns in the Midwest. So they got this bridge and it goes over the Mississippi River going from like Rock Island to Davenport. So the guy I was with is a photographer and he wanted to get a picture looking from the bridge onto this baseball field. And so he walked up there because there's no place on this bridge to park. I was down at the bottom trying to charge up some batteries and stuff like that. So he comes back laughing. He goes, a cop stopped up there and talked to me. He told me not to cause any trouble on the bridge. He's all, I'm 35. He's all, I'm not like 18 and be spitting on people off the bridge. And that's what he told the cop. And the cop goes, just make sure you don't, and drove off. Anyway, Davenport is really not that old of a city. It was founded in the 1830s along the Mississippi River. There's a ferry there that took people across and all that good stuff. It's got a little crime, got a little poverty, but everything else seems to be okay here, especially the home prices. The median listing price in Davenport, Iowa is $176,450. That's of June 2022. The change since last year, it went up 10.7%. So it's going up, but it's still pretty cheap. Number 6, Canton, Ohio. Canton is one of 3 planned Ohio cities on this list. Kind of interesting. Ohio has a lot of problems right now. I mean, it's a typical Rust Belt state. They've been losing jobs since forever. Some of the cities are showing signs of life again. Like Cleveland's still a nightmare, but it does have some things going on where it's getting a little bit better. Cleveland, by the way, should have been number 12 on this list. Canton is home to the National Football League's Hall of Fame. They have the Hall of Fame game there every year. They actually used to have a professional football team. They don't anymore. In 1920, the Canton Bulldogs started playing in Canton. They lasted till 1927. 1 year, though, in 1924, they did play in Cleveland. But they only lasted 7 years, sadly. Before any football historians call me on it, they were a football team prior to that in like 1903, 1906, 1911. But it was part of the Ohio League. They weren't part of the NFL. Jim Thorpe played for this team. Back then, he was paid a lot of money. $250 a game. This was like in the 1915-16 era. That was a lot of money back then. On that kind of money, you still might be able to buy a house in Canton, Ohio. The median listing price of June 2022 was $175,340. The change from the year before, they dropped 9.7%. They, again, have some crime rate and some poverty issues you probably don't want to get involved with, so know what neighborhood you're moving into before you do. Number 5, Saginaw, Michigan. I used to play hockey with a guy from Saginaw. He used to call it Saginaw all the time, and I, for the longest time, thought that's what it was really called. Then I saw it on a map, and I was like, that's a AW at the end. What's going on with this? Then I realized he was just an idiot. If you don't know where Saginaw, Michigan is, it is about an hour and a half north of Detroit, and about 40 minutes north of Flint, Michigan. 2 things you need to know about Michigan: summers and winters. Winters are brutally cold and summers are really nice once you get past the mosquitoes. But if you want to buy a house in Michigan, this might not be the worst place to buy a house. There's much worse in Michigan. The median listing price in Saginaw, Michigan in June 2022 was $164,700. The change from 2021, it went up 9.3%. They have a bunch of parks, low cost of living, and walkable streets. Just make sure you know which neighborhood you're moving into. Number 4, Springfield, Illinois. We never talk about Springfield, Illinois. Oftentimes when Springfield comes up, just to mess with people, I like to put up video of some of the other Springfields we have in the country because almost every state has a Springfield. And I like to put it up there to see if anyone notices. Springfield is the capital of Illinois. You got neighborhoods like Piper Glen, which are really nice, a little more expensive than you'd expect in Springfield, but they're not bad. And then you got other ones that are a little more affordable, and I'm being generous with that description, like Far East District, things like that. If you want to buy a house in Springfield, Illinois, the median listing price of June 2022 was $163,440. The change from last year, it's gone up 22%. Number 3, Charleston, West Virginia. In my opinion, this is one of the best places to move to if you're a remote worker or even if you're retired. Charleston is a really nice city. They do have some areas out and around it, like out in the woods and stuff, you should probably stay away from, which I've mentioned many times before. You don't want to end up in one of those little backwoods hollers and some guy goes, well, you saw my still, now we're husband and wife. Excuse me? What? Sorry, that's the Appalachian rules. Charleston is kind of artsy and kind of a laid-back vibe to the city. It's definitely not what you'd expect from West Virginia. And I've been there and I like it. I really do. But yeah, definitely, if you're a remote worker or you're retired, you're living on a fixed income, this is a pretty good city to move to because their cost of living is pretty low. And like I always say when I'm talking about Charleston, West Virginia, they are home to the greatest radio station in the world, WTSQ. Listen to it on the internet. You don't need to listen to it on radio. Here's what I really like about Charleston. There's a lot of fixer-uppers, older homes that probably need some work. You can get them for under $50,000. And they come on like 3/4 of an acre. If you want to go big and live in something that's decent, maybe with a view, you're looking at $180,000. Not a bad place to live. But the median listing price in June of 2022 in Charleston, West Virginia was $151,430. The change from a year ago, it's up 8.2%. Number 2, Akron, Ohio. Back to Ohio we go. Akron is home to the University of Akron, which has a very unfortunate football team name or mascot's name, the Zips. Akron sits between Canton, Ohio and Cleveland, Ohio, right by the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. I've always liked the downtown part of Akron. It's got some really cool older buildings. They keep most of it pretty clean and like free of graffiti, things like that. You start getting out in the neighborhoods, it gets a little weird sometimes. That's where you'll find most of your crime, but it's a nice city, in my opinion. The crime rate tells a different story. They got some crime here, but their cost of living's low, their housing isn't bad, their employment numbers aren't that great, but it's getting better. Akron, like all of Ohio, you got to be able to put up with a pretty cold winter to live here. If you do want to live here and you want to buy a house, the median listing price in Akron, Ohio is $147,450. That's up 15% from 2021. Realistically, though, not the median listing price. If you got $150,000 to spend or to get a loan for, you can get a decent place to live in Akron, Ohio. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down below. We'd love it if you went over there and subscribe. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown, Ohio makes it 3 for Ohio. I'll tell you straight out, Youngstown, Ohio isn't the greatest place to live, but it's definitely not as bad as some of the other places on this list. Their crime rate is only 80% above the national average. Their violent crime rate is 72% above the national average, and it's very affordable. Now, the level of affordability they have, you'd expect their crime rate to be so much higher. Like I've said before, their crime rate is 80%. There's cities in this country like Detroit and stuff that have a crime rate that's like 450% above the national average. That's not great for Youngstown, 80% and 72% above, but it's not horrible. If you don't know where Youngstown, Ohio is, it is south of Warren, Ohio, right near the Pennsylvania border. And it's east of Akron in case you're looking for it on the map. Youngstown really hasn't had a booming real estate market in quite some time. Matter of fact, before the pandemic, it was definitely considered stagnant. While the rest of the country was jumping up, they were just kind of flat. Homes would stay on the market for a year. Fixer-uppers here go for about $50,000 or less, like between $50,000 and $30,000. These are homes that are going to need some work, but that's pretty cheap. A decent one is going to be about $100,000 tops. When you start getting into the nicer ones, they're $150,000, like really nice. Extra nice is like $300,000. It is crazy cheap here. But if you're looking to buy a home here, the median listing price of June of 2022 is $115,000. That's it. The change since 2021, it's gone up about 7.3%. Not terrible, especially when it's that low. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.